speaks
As
wonderful
Nigeria is losing a lot.
as a trainer.
Yeah, I train most of the
Suffer stigmatization, simplicity, and difficulty in giving themselves back to life. They suffer stigmatization of rehabilitating themselves into the society from whence they came before the disruption of their lives.
It is the same thing with the survivors of human trafficking and the sexually exploited. They leave the country with the hope of a brighter future, but are brought back shattered, in despair and hopeless.
Whenever human persons, out of greed, selfishness, conceit, decide to make use of others for their own selfish purposes, try to exploit others, then you demean the purpose for which God actually created the human person. And so we need to take it out completely.
So it is a good news to let people know that human trafficking is not a way of life. With all the promises that they, of course, those who involve in it, but at the end of it, they gain nothing.
And even when family members or friends manage to turn up, the journey towards rehabilitation is usually impossible without a skill.
And when there is a skill, there is no support structure, no availability of basic trade equipment, and no money to procure them. It is a near impossible situation for the ex-prisoner. He needs shelter, at least temporarily, and skills to help him or her maneuver society that has increasingly become a place where dreams come to die.
The Nigerian custodial system as at March 2024. Total inmate population 78,621. Total male inmates 76,854. Total female inmates 1,767. Total convicted inmates 24,444. Convicted male inmates 24,000. Convicted female inmates 444. Total awaiting trial inmates 54,177. Awaiting trial male 52,854. Awaiting trial female 1,323. Crime and other antisocial behaviors are as old as mankind and highlight the point of imperfection of the human species. To promote and ensure social cohesion and balance, the society builds special holding places for those whose conduct and activities threaten societal values.
Globally, we may mention the exception of maybe one country or two like Sweden. It's still acceptable that custodial punishment is one of the ways to deal with crime, especially. Of course, we have the civil offenses, which are not basically crimes, but provide for punishment through keeping the person in correctional custody. Okay, but looking beyond the punishment itself, we look at the place where this punishment is being served. How adequate has our correctional centers or facilities been over the years?
The essence of building prisons or custodial centers is not to destroy those in prisons, but to reform them. Sadly, in spite of efforts by the authorities, only an exceeding small number of those who come out of custodial centers end up redeeming their lives. A much greater percentage continue with lifestyles that take them back into prisons.
The accommodation where they stay, they are made to lie on the bare floor, on mats. and they stay so tight in a cell. Many of them told us that the cells, which should be occupied by 15 to 18 people, have 60 people in them. How reformational in nature can that kind of thing be? So if you look at the practical aspect of it, you will see that it is not reforms, rather it is more of dehumanization.
A defective criminal justice system, an unforgiving, unsympathetic, and fearful citizenry, lack of post-prison opportunities, and absence of adequate opportunities have all combined to work against social reintegration of the formerly incarcerated. The narrative must change. New opportunities for redemption must be embraced. Enter the Justice, Development and Peace Center, Lagos Archdiocese of Catholic Church, JDPC, with an ambition like no other and a vision that is unparalleled. The JDPC intends to build the first truly reformative home, a halfway house for those forgotten by society who once lost their way but are now willing to retrace their steps.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life. A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
Equipped with over 30 rooms for both male and female, a library for those intent on catching up with the development of the intellect, a fully equipped and functioning workroom for skilled impartation and training.
We know that the work of humanity, the work of bringing about good governance, the work of making sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard can be quite challenging and daunting. And that's why the fundraising aspect is there.
The JDPC has tried to fill the lacuna left by government for the enhancement and betterment of human beings. And that is why this project to build a rehabilitation home for deportees and for returnee prisoners.
It has been a long journey to get to this moment of actualization. The vision for the halfway home and the attempts to turn vision to reality have not been without disappointment and dashed hopes.
The JDPC is in the line or in the course of producing and building and constructing a rehabilitation and a vocational center. Now, this vocational center, you may want to know, has always been in the mind of the JDPC from the time of our beloved Cardinal, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Lagos, His Eminence Cardinal Anthony Okoje, when this vision was birthed. But along the line, some things had to stall for funding issues and a few other logistical reasons.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life.
There is hope for everyone regardless of their circumstances. It is true that the seed for societal decay is sown by human hands, sometimes wittingly, other times unwittingly. But it is also a fact that the society has within itself the power to self-regulate and the ability to redeem itself. So it is so with those who find themselves at the bottom of the ladder, such as ex-convicts or inmates, as well as victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. After all, if Mary Magdalene and the thief on the cross could find last-minute redemption, who then can be immune from God's mercy if they open up their hearts?
We know full well that there are a lot of persons who, for want of maybe man's inhumanity to man, have found themselves in very underprivileged and disadvantaged positions in the society. We have a lot of destitutes, we have our friends, our brothers and our sisters from the correctional facilities who have been set free, and sometimes they find nowhere to go, they find nothing to do. We also get to read in the news every now and again the migration processes that take place in the country and how certain of our brothers and sisters are being repatriated and brought back to the country from the Middle East, from Libya, parts of Africa, and of course from Europe. Now, sometimes these persons come back and they are lost at sea, not knowing exactly what they should do. Now, this rehabilitation center is a stopgap where we bring these persons together and train them and let them know that all life is not lost. There is hope for a better Nigeria, and they can make good use of this center to further benefit themselves. It is a center that in its conception had the mind or the thought of bridging the gap between the correctional facilities and the center, putting it simply, from prison to society.
JDPC's Half Home is set up to do one part of what a custodian center is supposed to do, and that is the reformation of the dejected and abandoned after society has imposed its legal punishment on them. This reformation must be followed by reintegration back into the society, and it also applies to victims of human trafficking for sexual purposes.
These young people will not be like gunpowder that we are sitting upon and that will explode and cause much more confusion in the nation.
My word is going to use that to be one, to not to lose focus, to be determined on what they want to do with their lives, and not to be used by any person for their selfish interests at the detriment of their future and their life.
Unfortunately, the nature and character of the country's socio-political system seem to make these achievements of this noble objective almost impossible.
In the past 6 months, my organization, for example, has released over 50 people in different correctional centers in Lagos State alone. And once they are out, we take them on and we get their stories recorded. And part of our questions to each of them is, how adequate are the facilities where you stayed? Some of them stayed 2 months, but some stayed more than 5 years. We've had situations in the past 8 to 10 months where we released someone who stayed about 8 years without trial, and then someone who the court gave order for his release in 2021 but was now released in 2023. So he stayed extra 2 years and 1 month. In all of these instances, we ask them, how adequate is accommodation, feeding, Medicare, recreation? These are the things that should be basic. They are not yet reformatory in nature. When you talk of reforms, you are now talking of something beyond the ordinary.
The increasing importance of non-governmental organizations to the overall running of the society cannot be overemphasized. Serious governments, especially in growing democracies, increasingly welcome their interventions in the various thematic areas of their engagements.
It takes a person who came in there with a sound mind. It takes that person from soundness of mind to something else. Many of them get out from there not happy, having revenge at the center of at the core of their soul.
From governance issues, healthcare, social welfare initiatives, the criminal justice system, human trafficking, etc. They have continued to complement the activities of governments over the years. The present rehabilitation home of the JDPC is one of such efforts.
The 10th of May too is a day we are setting aside to raise funds, to complement and to further carry out the task, our primary responsibility of spreading the gospel of God's grace to the nations, to the world, to the ends of the earth, especially within the confines of Lagos State.
A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
The JDPC wants to set a precedent that it hopes others, such as governments, corporate institutions, and philanthropists, would emulate. The body wants to send a message to the rejected and dejected in the society. We have your back. Do not despair. That message is a halfway home. But this can only happen when similar charity-minded individuals and entities identify with this objective to turn a long-nurtured dream to reality.
this place we are now, this place this recording is taking place, is so designed for not only for today, for the present, for the future, and for our retirement. So, give and take, we are going to retire here, and by the time we retire in here, we will still be functioning as we are functioning. It's so designed like that. We have our gardens designed here, already here for retirement. We have a terraces designed. We have the accommodation itself designed. So these are all that most of us in this part of the world needs to do. One, it will save us stress. It saves us a lot of money.
In spite of his advancing age, Sheikh Williams retains a youthful zest for life that is manifested in a rich and infectious sense of humor, as well as a seemingly boundless energy that will put many people half his age to shame. Not surprisingly, he is a health and wellness enthusiast who adheres to a strict diet and exercise regimen that has contributed to his age-defying looks. A humble and down-to-earth man, in spite of his aristocratic upbringing, he projects a palpable aura of contentment, as well as an air of confidence and optimism that constantly radiates from him like the rays of the rising sun.
For the years I've known him, I've never got any bad impression about his behavior, whether at home or in public places. And nobody has ever come to report any criminal or untoward behavior from him. So to me, he's a man of the people, he's a gentleman.
I know Sheikh is getting old, and I know he's never tired, and I know until he leaves the earth, he will continue to remain the person he is. He can't change his style because of age. And I pray that God give him long life. So that, and I also pray that people emulate him and try to impact others too.
My wish for them is for God, for Allah to spare their lives so that they will experience, even if it is not all, bits or part of why Faev Academy was set up.
Èrò mi sí wọn ni wípé ọjọ́ tí wà lórí wọn àti ìyàwó wọn. Nísìnyí ibi tọ́jọ́ náà dé yìí ọjọ́ àdálẹ́, but mo wish wípé nínú àwọn ọmọ wọn kàn jẹ́ kó mójútó iléèwé yìí, torí tọ́jọ́ bá dálẹ́ kí iléèwé yìí kó má parun, kó má gẹ́tọ̀, kó má lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, kàn jẹ́ kí inú àwọn ọmọ wọn àìdá kan àbí méjì irú iṣẹ́ tó wọ́n ń ṣe yìí kọ́wọn ọmọ wọn understand ẹ̀, kán mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀, kán lè gbé iléèwé ìdúró, kán lè gbé lárugẹ. Mo wish láti jẹ́ pé kán ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
I feel like there's a certain age you get when you feel like, oh, someone has achieved much in life. So I feel like achieve is very subjective because what is achieved, like different things. But I would say, I know he's very proud of Faev. So even if I look at it from that angle, I know that just being able to have grown Faev this long and to this extent as well, I think definitely is something that is a big feat in itself, that even I can attest to, that is being able to achieve successfully. And I think obviously having a family as well, this close-knit, and being able to keep everyone together in itself, being able to train all his kids very well.
I love my dad so much. I wish him the very best of good health, of more strength, of peace, of joy and laughter.
Long before it became the so-called new normal in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic that swept across the globe in 2019 and 2020 and forced authorities everywhere to impose rigorous lockdowns that kept people within the confines of their homes for days, weeks and months on end. The practice of working and conducting his business empire from home was already an integral part of everyday life for Sheikh Mohammed Mansour Al-Mansour Williams. In a world that is undergoing rapid and disruptive changes to the way we live and work, not only from COVID-19, but also from new technologies and previously unheard of sociological paradigms, the Sheikh has long been an enthusiastic proponent of this way of life. Moreover, as any resident of Lagos will tell you, commuting across this vast metropolis on a daily basis to and from work is a grueling affair with potentially disastrous consequences for one's physical and mental health as well as quality of life. As far as Sheikh Williams is concerned, working from home is a different, healthier and far more excellent alternative, and one that more people ought to imbibe for the sake of their sanity. As already mentioned, the motivation behind His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansour Akinola Olabiyi Bodunrin Williams' decision to establish the first Islamic English Education Foundation Academy is driven by his concern for young people and his desire to help shape their destinies and enhance their prospects for a more glorious future, as reflected in his lifelong activism in pursuit of socio-economic justice in the society, the maintenance of high moral and technical standards in our educational system, and a genuine commitment to the general good on the part of our leaders and political office holders. By extension, Five Academy reflects his hopes for the larger Nigerian nation as a whole, and his determination to ensure that in the long term, Five Academy will serve as a catalyst towards the attainment of our collective quest for a just and prosperous nation, and for the continued sustenance of our most cherished values as a democratic society driven by an unflinching faith in the power and providence of a faithful, just and merciful God. Alhamdulillah.
ọmọọba àdó ọmọọba akínṣemọyìn ọmọ olúkòkun àgànrún owó ọmọọba àlùfọ̀n moko mbẹ̀bí ọmọ adíjọ́náwó bowó nú jẹ́ ọmọ àyìnmí ní ọ̀rọ̀ ọmọ ọ̀bí ní aróguntayò ọmọ òsínwìnìgbéwìnìkọ ó fi nǹkan wìnìwìnì tọkọ̀ ṣe ọmọ alówó lọ́kọ̀ bí òyìnbó dé tán owó òun pọ̀ sí ọmọ òpè bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní gàdú gànràn ọmọ wọn kì í fọkọ́ ró wọn kì í pàdá ró bí a kò ró a kò gbọdọ̀ kúrò nídìí ẹ̀ ọmọ àtùpà gàdú gànràn tó ń jóni lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó ń jó lọ́wọ́ wọn fi í banú ẹ̀gbẹ́ ẹ̀gángan kò ṣeé lù lẹ́sẹ̀ òun ràwọ̀ kó ṣe bí òṣùpá ẹni agbádé fún ládé yẹ ọmọ alápá ò jàgbòkò fún yàn ó gbágbòtà ó fowó ẹ̀ fóbìnrin kábíyèsí akínṣemọyìn ọmọ ọba àdèlé ajósùn ọmọ òrókò regi mátìdì ọmọ ọba àlùfọ̀n ọmọ olóde òkúta ọmọ àgbà òsínlú ìlú bàjẹ́ baálé ilé kú ilé dáwóró ọmọ dẹ́gẹ̀ tutù lẹ́yìn ó gbóná nínú ọmọ òjì lóru kénini òbẹ́nini lókùnkùn ọmọ òṣùpá lé ẹni ògún ọ̀nà ọwọ́ ẹ̀ bá tó kó lọ tún ṣe ọmọ òsínwìnìgbéwìnìkọ ọmọ àgbààgbà tí ń gba ará àdúgbò ó gba sókènù ó gbà páàdì ó gba sódẹkẹ tọmọtọmọ à ń ròde ìráná à ń wo ìlú èkó lọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan akíkanjú ọmọ tó ń gbógun jálé bàbá ọmọ ògbọ́rọ̀ yẹ̀wò bí elédùmarè ọmọ kẹlẹ̀bẹ̀ òjò wú kò wù gèrè aráàbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ ta ni oníkòkò ń fojú di ọmọ òru là ń ṣèkà ọ̀sán là ń ṣèmẹ́lẹ́ ọmọ afíjú wọjà ó ní gbẹ̀ǹdẹ́kẹ ọ̀bùn wọjà pa ṣìọ̀ṣìọ̀ ọ̀bùn ṣìọ̀ṣìọ̀ ní rẹrù afíjú wọlé ọmọ bíbí eré kò ṣeé fowó rà ọmọ abẹ́kò ló jìjàdù ẹwà ọmọ eré jogún ọlá àtùpàdù gànràn ọmọ ọlọ́gbọ́n dorí ẹja mú ọmọ òdíyán ọmọ ogun lòdìbò ọmọ òbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ òdíyán ọmọ ogun lòdìbò ọmọ òbí ní aróguntayò ọmọ àrófọbabẹ́gùn ọmọ afẹ́lẹ́lẹ́ wọlé ọba ọmọ ẹni òbejì ọmọ ẹni bèjì ó yàṣọ ọmọ òyìnbó fòkun ṣọ̀nà ẹyẹ fojú ọ̀run ṣòréré ọmọ afọbajẹ ìlú èkó ọmọ ajẹkọba tó jẹ elétò òrogun ẹnìkan ò lọ agbada ògbóná ìgbàdo òta ètò òsì ọba ọjẹ kábíyèsí o kábíyèsí o kábíyèsí o.
traveling, but not that kind of travel in my life. My enemy, I don't pray for him to go through that what I go through. It's a grace of God.
A good life is desirable. In fact, it is a legitimate desire. But that quest means different things to different people. For some, it could be as simple as access to basic necessities of life: food, shelter, clothing, and safety. But for others, it may be much more complicated. Yearly, thousands of African migrants leave their countries on a long journey away from home. Their destination, Europe. I established direct contact with a returnee, a young Nigerian whose main goal was to expand his business big enough to make his family comfortable. Although not Europe-bound, his story shows that there is no limit to human mobility and migration decisions. An old friend had informed him of business opportunities in Cairo, but the road to Egypt turned out to be eventful. The reality often dawns in the middle of the journey, a point of no return and moment of reckoning where they see life flashing before their eyes.
From Kano, there's a bus taking us to Sinden. From Sinden to Agadez. Getting to Agadez, suddenly they say we are going to enter flight. Just an hour to Cairo. I said, okay, no problem. I was enjoying myself. But later on, they just said, oh yeah, higher. I said, what is higher? They now bring a e-loss, pick up. I said, to do what? They say we should take certificate. I said, which certificate? That's stick. To put a middle of us, sit in the e-loss, down to where? They say it's 1 hour driving. I said, okay, I follow their advice. By way sitting down with my stature, I was even happy. We have never even moved 30 to 15 minutes. I just hear, bah! I was just hearing, Boda Entiku. And I told them, I'm not dead, dude. I'm still alive. 2 people now came to me. They now carry me. And I say, is it my leg there? They say my leg, because it's cold. They say my leg is here. They took me to somewhere to sit down. Within 30 minutes, they say we are not going again. That's where we are going to sleep, in the desert. When we moved for 3 days, there was a guy, the driver. I was watching him. The way he's driving and the way they are talking. He now said everybody should stop. They what they call Duruku. They said Duruku. He asked everybody to stop and calm down. This is how I fold my mouth, looking at him, said, what is happening? He said, we are too heavy. Heavy for what? He took 5 people to one side, said the car is going down. With the language they are talking. I don't hear their language. What I just know is that he wants to kill 5 people. I just hear pa. From there, the hypertension now come up. Because that's my first time in my life seeing killing people like a goat.
With the arduous journey on land to Libya out of the way, migrants then proceed to the next phase, this time on sea. Any failure at this point comes with dire consequences.
There was a man they called I don't want to call it the Shaman in Saba. He's now one I run to. I want to go back home. I'm going back to my country. The man said no. Move on. When you get to Tripoli, you jump to Italy. I said okay. I follow the advice. Getting to Tripoli, we will get to the sea. There's a camp they used to put us. We always sat down before going. It can even take you a month before they brought you to the Lampa. They call it Lampa. That's Balu. But the first day, I saw some people coming back with bending hand, bending leg. Some have died. They say I should ready to go. I say yes. Coming back, they return us back to camp. I don't know the camp is jail. We are just dumped there 3-4 months.
Equally as deadly is the Middle Eastern route. Even more heartbreaking is that victims can be lured by persons considered trustworthy. A trafficker can be anyone.
When I was struggling with life, I
finally get a job as a waitress, I met with a friend. You know, we all think in Nigeria that facing one or two challenges, when you meet with the pastor, talk about it, pray about it, you believe everything will be okay. And that was what happened. They advised me to meet up with the pastors, and we meet up with the pastor, and that was the whole arrangement of traveling and leaving the country. And the initial plan was Canada, not traveling to an Arab country. It was not Oman. So at the long run, I was working. I do send my salary and even the tip I get as a waitress then to the pastor to work on my visa. And at the long run, we realized that the pastor was fake and there was nothing coming out of it. So we met with the person the pastor was introducing to us, standing as the agent. They said, okay, there's a country that we can go to currently now, which is called Oman. That was where we were told that it was Dubai, close to Dubai. They share border with Dubai. And we all know Dubai very well because Dubai is a very popular country, okay. Since it's Dubai, okay, we would go there. Getting to Oman, you know, we don't know anything that was going on then. That was when we realized that we are into slavery, working as an house help. Here they call it house help. Over there, they call us Shangala, which is slave. And it's not easy. A lot of people are there that we left together are no more there. And most people are sexually harassed. Like I myself, I was harassed over there too. I was locked up, being beaten up. Even if I said I'm not working again, the way they treat me as if I am nobody, and they don't care if I lose my life or not because they believe that they've actually paid our country, like they've paid an agent here in Nigeria. They sell us out for 2 years, so they let us know that 2 years we can actually do anything for us, and we have no question, and we have no right over ourselves for that 2 years.
The mass exodus of African migrants through irregular channels has created room for exploitation and gross human rights abuse in the already volatile Libya. Detention camps are literally hell on earth. And so, in 2017, the European Union, in partnership with the International Organization for Migration, started funding voluntary return programs to assist migrants stranded in these informal prisons. Since then, over 15,000 Nigerians have taken advantage of this opportunity. But a cloud still hangs over many of the returnees. It is the stigma and worry of starting a new life.
I wish to travel, but not that kind of travel in my life. There's some people I met in a bus. He say he's traveling. I say, bros, I even lie down on the ground. I say, please, look at me, look at my picture. Don't ever try it. Even my enemy, if he said he wants to travel to that road, I have money. I will ask him, what do you want? I will tell him to take, to please to stay. My enemy, I don't pray for him to go through that what I go through. It's a grace of God for me to be alive today.
They say old wounds heal over time, but this experience is one whose memory hardly ever fades away.
That is what I do for a living. No amount of gari you take to the market that you won't sell, because it's a food where the rich and the poor eat. I was doing this business with someone else before, and when I went back to school to further my education, things were not moving fine and I have to return back. Then that was when I now stood on my own to get the business being done. So for like 10 years now, I've been in the business. NNPC, I worked with them before. I did some work for them as a trainer. Yeah, I trained most of their staffs, their workers, and I give them some health talk, and I place them on health, the area where things you eat, what to eat, and when to eat them. Dairy business is a business that it's like crude oil business. It's a business where from cassava himself, from the cassava peel, the cassava starch, the water of the starch, everything about cassava is productive. Everything about cassava. We can get animal meal from cassava, we can get starch from cassava, we can get chemical from cassava, we can as well get food from cassava, we can as well get manure from cassava. Now, if other youth can work the way I'm doing now, I believe in the next few years to come, we'll be looking at the oil sector or the government, we won't be looking at those areas. We'll look straight on gari business, because gari business can give us what we want. My experience and my challenge in this business, in this work, is a work where you need to get hands to join you. You can't do it alone. And getting people to join you, you need fun, you need money to make people work, because you got to pay them. And the challenge we're having in it is when most times the farmer comes to sell for you, and because you don't have the money to pay them, they move away. And at the same time again, the people who work for you, just because you don't have money to pay them for the ones they did for you, you won't see them again. So those are the challenges we have been having. And when you finish your production, taking it to the market again is a big problem. They will start pricing it low, that what you spend in it, you can't achieve it. So that has been the challenge we're having in the business. Before we start the gari processing, we go to the farm, we'll see the cassava, then we'll check if it is one being farmed for 1 year plus or 2 years. So if it is one being farmed for 2 years, you spend more to get that kind of cassava, because the cassava himself is already mature to give you good gari. Then in the course of that, we engage the farmers to uproot it. Then we load it in a vehicle, in a van, that is pickup, to bring it down to the factory. And in that period, we engage some boys to do the work, which we pay them. Then when we get to the factory, we engage the women to peel the cassava. After peeling, they wash the cassava and we grind it to turn it to cassava mash. And this period, we pay them again to do this process for us. Then after that, we go into drying, where we press out the water out. And some of these women, they do this work and we pay them again. Then from the pressing, we go to frying. Then from frying, then we take it to the market. No amount of gari you take to the market that you won't sell, because it's a food where the rich and the poor eat. You understand? But the challenge we are having is moving them to where the consumers are, because the consumers are the ones that will tell you how good and how well the gari is. Now, most times, the people who move it to us, they charge us much that when we get to the market, the consumers cannot buy, because we got to add what we spend moving it to the market. In the area of peeling, in a pickup load, we use as minimum of 40 persons to produce one pickup of cassava, that is peeling. Then in the course of frying, in that the same pickup we use 40 persons, we use no less than 6 to 7 persons to the frying. Yes. What led to this was, one, the people who produce the cassava. As I said earlier on, we use workers 40 to peel and we use like 7 to fry. But because of the expenses involved in it, we drop to 20 persons to peel the pickup of cassava, and we use like 3 or 4 to do the frying. And because we drop our workers, we're unable to produce large scale. So, and that started affecting the market, because by the time you run all these expenses on the cassava and you take it to the market to sell, if you're unable to make your money, you won't be able to return back to the market again. So that was the challenge we were having. And in those days, in then, 90, 20, 2000, the market were a bit normal, because as soon as you finish your products, the customers are already on ground to buy. Because of low quality and the challenges of financial support, we were unable to beat the market. The government had to eat, because most times we don't have much land. First of all, let me use that word, the land to farm. We don't have lands to farm, which is one. And secondly, the support we need from the government in terms of fertilizer, man support to get this work being done are not on ground again. So it has really affected the business. The way government is going now concerning agriculture in Nigeria, if the government can still maintain this standard or do more, I believe we will go round in the world. And the economic will boost, because the government has already supported the business. So we will go around. In Ghana, I once had a communication with some guys in Ghana that process Gary. The way they process Gary in Ghana and the way we process Gary here are not the same. We still, in Nigeria here, I would say 90% of us still produce in local way, using the clay, the sand to mold the oven and a small pot. But other countries, they use industrial fryer, which can take half pickup of cassava in a section. So in less than 4 to 5 hours, we should be able to produce not less than 2 pickup of cassava. So if government can assist us to go for the industrial grinding machine, industrial extractor, industrial fryer, I believe we will do better. And that is why, as you can see from the previous videos and the shots we took, you can see the women frying with a small pot on top of a clay sand and some firewood under. So in that way, we'll be able to cover the markets in town. First of all, if government can assist us on this, I believe job will be all round, because one, by the time we the producers produce, the graduates or people outside lack of job can come and move it from us and take it to other country, and in that way they'll be able to make something for themselves. And we have different kind of Gary. We have the yellow Gary, we have the Ijebu Gary, we have the white Gary. Now the yellow Gary is the one we do with oil and all that. So if government can assist us in that way, I believe there will be job in the country. In cassava I still do animal meal. I process animal meal, which I have them on ground. I process, like from the animals I want to mention, pig, goats, cow, chicken, fish, I process their meal. Then I process starch from cassava production, and at the same time again, we still process chemical used to kill grass from the water. That is at the site. Then at the same time again, I'm a dietitian. I do things of health. Those who are on obesity, I work them out. I give them healthy food to eat. And the people that want to share the weight, that want to keep fit, I engage them in one workout or the other. Then those on disabled, on wheelchair, people who cannot walk, people who have some physical challenge, not from birth, I bring them out from it.
Where my phone? Properly here. No one will finish. Now who's that you come back now? You get one last month. I hope all is well. But you can't give me one number. Just I lost your number. You can't give me one number. What they call the number? So they call the number. Now you give me the number. Just that we thank God. Government is here small. The government say we know they too gari, but we see. Who want what? Plus, they more than 3 well. Only at the fine.
Which money why you don't gather? And this one NNPC staff you. NNPC staff.
When you're picking, I won't marry. Mama, what done, eh?
That boy.
Sir?
You know, when they don't see you wear suit, they will go think say you don't know cassava. No matter those people ready for town where they look poor boy.
Then I better know they breed. Now all vice versa.
So now two sides there.
Now two sides there. They know they breed.
You see now, you know what you make a marry.
Which guy I don't go breed? Wait.
So let's say nice one. You see that's how just yeah. Mama, this
Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Inky. If you are a returning subscriber, I welcome you, and if you are also an intending subscriber, feel free to subscribe to my channel as I'll be sharing lots of interesting tutorials and sewing tips on this channel. Today I'll be sharing with you some professional sewing tips. So if you will embark on a project, there are few but important things you will need to consider. All fashion designers will want to make clothes that look store-bought, where the inside of the garment will be as neat as outside. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Inky. If you are a returning subscriber, I welcome you, and if you are also an intending subscriber, feel free to subscribe to my channel as I'll be sharing lots of interesting tutorials and sewing tips on this channel. Today I'll be sharing with you some professional sewing tips. So if you will embark on a project, there are few but important things you will need to consider. All fashion designers will want to make clothes that look store-bought, where the inside of the garment will be as neat as outside. So in order to achieve this, you need to consider some tips I'll be listing